Hey folks, today we are taking a look at Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager class Predaking. Now I have to say that the Predaking figure we have here is very interesting because there are a lot of good things and some not so good things to do or going on with this toy. So first off, we are going to take a look at the figure and his weapons. Taking a look at the weapons first, we have his sword, which is going to be his tail in beast mode. The sword itself is nicely molded and nicely pointy, though the gold tip is really appreciated. I'm very thankful that Hasbro decided to actually paint this thing. I was kind of worried that they weren't, but it's an okay sword. It looks pretty good. However, Predaking has issues holding it, which we'll get to. His other two weapons are these little mini dragon thingies. Now, according to the directions, these things are semi-sentient and have wills of their own. However, the launching gimmick is just extend the thing and then push the button down and they fire. They look just like little heads. I'm guessing that in practicality, they're actually more like dragon. They're like wingless, limbless snakes that move around. Though they do attach to him in beast mode, they don't really attach to him in robot mode so much as they just kind of peg in above his hands. But overall, the look of the things are nice. However, this, according to the back of the box, is supposed to be yellow. It is just gray plastic. So, here we have the back of the box. See? Yellow. Not yellow. Predaking himself is a very good-looking robot, if a little bit on the spiky side. My main issue with this mode is he's missing paint. And he's missing paint in two key places. One, he's missing paint on his legs. There's supposed to be silver paint on the moldings here. And he's missing paint on the wings. These outer bits that the membranes connect to are supposed to be painted black. I'm just going to have to prime them and paint them myself, but I would have really liked them to be painted because that would have made the figure look a lot better. In fact, going back to the back of the box, you see that in beast mode, those bits are painted, but in robot mode, they're not. So what gives? That aside, the figure is a good size. Here he is up against Megatron from RID, and Predaking is a good size. He's actually bigger than Megatron, which I approve of. Overall, though, the figure is okay, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit negative. There are some real problems with this guy. First off, his legs are far too loose. I mean, way too loose. The figure, if you start posing it, as you can see, just from me moving his legs, he's already falling over. That's because there's a double hinge in his knee, and it's just way too loose. This pin, I think it's this pin, is the problem. For some reason, it's just much, much too loose. The other issue is, you know, the spikes are cool and all, but when you're done transforming it, your fingers hurt. And it's because there are so many spikes all over him, and some of the spikes are actually pretty thin. They really do start to hurt if your thumbs aren't real tough, or if your tips of your fingers aren't real tough. If you're a guitar player, you're not going to have a problem. But he's not a gentle figure to hold or to play with. And young kids are going to get poked a lot with this guy. The Robot Mode's face is very cool looking. I really like the Robot Mode's face. He does not have any light piping, unfortunately. That would have been nice, but I'm glad that Hasbro actually painted the eyes. They are golden color. My only issue with the face is it looks constipated, which is silly. But I really like the head sculpt. This is a really nice head sculpt. I would not be surprised if BotCon uses this body as a different robot next year or in another year or two. That would be interesting. The Predacon symbol is right there on his chest, on the left side of his chest. Poseability-wise, it's pretty good. Head does swivel. There is a swivel joint at the shoulder for forward and back, and then a swivel for in and out, a swivel just underneath that, and then a hinge for movement on the elbow, almost 90 degrees, and then his hands, quote unquote, are on a ball joint, but they are a bit limited. Now the hands themselves just open and close, so he doesn't really have hands so much as he has things to grab other things with. He kind of lacks opposable thumbs, which we'll get into in a little bit. That does cause some issues. Legs, like I said, are far too loose, but it sounds like he's on a ratcheting joint, but it only ratchets in the forward direction. So you can hear that on this leg as well. There is a plastic ratcheting in and out, and then, like I said, his knees are on a double hinge, and there's a swivel right above that for the transformation. Feet move forwards and back, but no other poseability. His heels are weird looking, but there's a reason for that. That'll be getting into the transformation. And there they go, the knees again. That's just a major, major issue with this guy. In terms of weapons, the figure can loosely hold his sword by opening up the hands, and then there's this hole here on the inner hand. That's where the weapon or the sword pegs into. And it doesn't really peg in there solidly. It's a little bit loose, so you kind of have to just gently have him hold it. Unfortunately, as soon as you move the figure, it'll fall right out and just fall onto the floor. His other weapons, which are the dragon heads, mount on his forearms on these peg holes. So you have him holding the dragon heads. Unfortunately, I wish the dragon heads would lock in extended position. They kind of just, you can kind of get them out into the extended position, but you'll end up launching the missiles, which I guess that's an okay gimmick. I see why it was designed like that, but I would think it would be better if you could just extend them out and have him just push a separate button. Now, these two can combine in robot mode, though I've not been able to do it. It looks like they're supposed to combine like this, but they're missing a hinge here to do this. Let's see if I could force it. Okay, kind of forced it, but it looks pretty good, kind of like a Wing Zero from a Gundam Wing. I get what they're going for, but it doesn't totally work here because you end up kind of making him looks like he's holding it very oddly. It's a nice addition. I just don't think the execution is all that great. Transformation for Predaking is rather involved and spiky. To start with, go to the back of the arms and fold up these black shoulder thorns. Now, according to the back of the box, these are supposed to be deployed in robot mode. According to the directions, they're only supposed to be deployed in beast mode. Okay, whatever. So next we're going to take the wings and just fold them straight up above the head, like that. So they look like that. Then we'll come to the back and actually pull his back open, and that will, and I'll pull the wings down so you can see, expose the beast head. So grab the little front here and the little chest piece and open up the chest. That will allow you to rotate the head down and then rotate the beast head up into place. And then once you get it rotated up, you can spin it around and get it flush and put into place and extend his mane. And yes, even though these bits are soft plastic, they are pointy. So then we will move the wings up to the front again just to get them out of the way. Take the arms and just fold them forward and have them pointing forward for now. Next we'll come to the legs. Now this is where things get a little bit complicated. The back of the legs actually store Predaking's dragon legs. So open them both up and then turn them such that the dragon legs are on the outside with the feet pointing to the outside of the figure. Then rotate the entire torso to the side like this. And then that will allow you to turn the legs and fold them up into the rest of the body. And then you can take this this unit, which will become part of the tail, and turn it so that the orange pieces and the spike pieces are pointing up. Then come to the legs and sandwich them together. And then just get the dragon legs positioned such that they look like they belong there. And just you kind of have to just fiddle with this thing until you can get everything lined up. Everything isn't going to line up perfectly, I have found. It's just going to be that way. So then at the end of the tail is a peg hole, and that's where we will peg the sword in. So, and that goes in there, and this will unpeg itself very, very easily, unfortunately. So you just kind of have to fiddle with it until you can get it completely pegged into place, and hopefully it doesn't move. And then we can move the wings back, and then just start positioning the legs so that it looks like a dragon. And here we have Predaking in dragon mode. Now, getting him into dragon mode is a little bit complicated, as you saw, but getting his legs and everything to stay actually isn't too bad. The joints are pretty tight on the front arms and the back legs, so getting him posed in this mode isn't bad at all. Again, there are some great pictures online of him in dragon mode, better than I could ever do. But, you know, I really wish Hasbro had added that extra little bit of paint to the wings. That would have made this figure much, much cooler. And there's actually ancient Cybertronians on his wings. And as you can see right there, that would have been very cool. His head in beast mode is frightening. I mean, it is scary. I would not want to meet this thing in a dark alley. That's for darn sure. Overall, the dragon mode isn't too bad. The wings are a little floppy, but they position and hold their pose, which I greatly appreciate. Like I said, a little bit of extra paint would have gone a long way. The only problem with this figure that I have, and this is a personal problem or personal issue of mine, I don't like playing with this figure. My hands just hurt after playing with this thing. After picking it up, after handling it, just the amount of spikes kind of detracts from the overall joy of the dragon mode. There are just too many damn spikes, and there's nothing wrong with that from an aesthetic aspect. But when you pick up the figure and you immediately stab yourself, that is an issue. On the whole, Predaking is okay. He's not my favorite figure by any means, but he's all right. I have no real issue with recommending him, but just be forewarned. I mean, he's very, very spiky, and those knees are a major problem. To give you an idea of size comparison, here are the two alt modes of Voyager Prime and Voyager Predaking. As you can see, Predaking is significantly larger than Prime, but that's just because Prime is much more compact. Predaking is not a bad figure by any means, but I like the Cyberverse figure better than the Voyager class, and I'm really looking forward to the Ultimate class Predaking, because I think that might solve a couple of the issues that I have with the Voyager class. Which one of these guys would I recommend, though? I would recommend Prime over Predaking. Predaking isn't bad, like I said, but Prime just blows it out of the water in terms of robot mode and fun factor. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Catch you guys next time.